Hello and welcome to the Hot Corner Insider Live Strategy Session. Today is Wednesday, November 8th. We do this every week, 1 o'clock on Stock Market TV. We typically go through some macro musings of the week, and then we jump into our favorite setups. No macro today, guys. No intro, but I do have a good story. So before we talk about it, nothing we discuss here today constitutes any solicitation to buy or sell any security. This is all solely for informational purposes and not to be construed as investment advice. For more on our disclaimer, you can go to allstarcharts.com/terms. I have spent pretty much my entire morning since I finished the morning show on the phone with these guys. Coinbase. I don't log into my account very often. On Coinbase, I hold a couple legacy positions that I really don't trade, haven't added to in a very, very long time. I made a couple Bitcoin purchases this year, but I did it actually through my PayPal account. My account was hacked this morning. So I received a call. I was outside working in the yard, and Coinbase calls me to tell me this. And I was very skeptical. And you know, my girlfriend's making fun of me right now. I just told her really quick, who have you been on the phone with? I said, Coinbase. And she said, I think you're getting scammed. That was my initial reaction too. It was, you know, somebody called with a strange accent. I could barely hear. And I said, I don't think you're Coinbase. I'm not going to talk to you. I made them confirm. They sent me an email. They sent me text messages. As it turned out, it was Coinbase. Someone, not me, tried to withdraw all the money from my account, and Coinbase stopped them. I think because maybe they flagged the IP address. Not sure why they stopped them. But then after the withdrawals were stopped, I guess this same hacker tried to change my email, change my login on the account. And that's why they actually called me. So kudos to Coinbase for now. I'm talking to them again. They're going to call me back in about 15 minutes here to try and finish doing what we were doing. We're trying to move all of my assets from the Coinbase platform to my wallet. And we haven't finished doing that yet. But it seems like, you know, so far that Coinbase, so far from my experience, and not done yet, I'll talk about it more on the morning show tomorrow, but it seems like they're really on top of this stuff. The security measures actually that I've been having to walk through with their representative on the phone for the past hour are kind of crazy. And I like that. So good for them. I want to see if we get the whole thing resolved. So talk more about it kind of, you know, once it's all said and done tomorrow. But it is a pain in the ass, but it's also nice to know that they seem to be so on top of this stuff, because I wasn't on top of it enough, right? It's not a material amount of money. It's not my main crypto account, but it's enough that I probably should have had these positions in my wallet, and I didn't. So they could have very well been liquidated and withdrawn, and I wouldn't have known. So kudos to Coinbase for now for stopping that. The experience has been really good so far. Maybe I'm biased because I like the stock, particularly above this shelf of former highs in the low 80s. We have it drawn at 80 here. I think it's really 84. I think it's really 84. Also not shown on this chart because I wanted to zoom in a little bit. The AVWAP from the all-time high and the AVWAP from the year-to-date high are coming in right around this breakout level in the lower 80s, right? So I think that's really the entry level right now. I've been long Coinbase Common for a while. I stayed long since I think I got long late last year, early this year. Still have pretty sizable position, but I did add calls late last week, some short-term bets, hoping for an automatic reaction, nice leg up from this breakout level that we have drawn here with the first rectangle. So I think for traders, I think, if this is really the breakout, we are going to get a swift move back to those year-to-date highs around 115. And I think once those highs are taken out, we get confirmation that this base is completed, right? Textbook reversal pattern. I think confirmation at the year-to-date highs. And from there, we're looking at much higher prices for Coinbase. So this is an exciting one. The base is just about completing here, right? I think 84 is that level. 115 is that confirmation. I think you can trade it from here to there. But then above 115, really, really go time once we have that confirmation. So I think we'll come back with price targets further out for Coinbase in the future. But for now, these are the levels on a tactical basis that we want to pay attention to. Let me just double check. What do you mean by that? One hole, just curious. Careful about other accounts with same password, because I do overuse the same password, probably a little bit too much. Coinbase still down slightly today. This would be an inside day after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive up days. A little inside day, a little digestion here. I think is constructive. Very buyable right here at 86 and change today. Okay, moving on. And we'll do more with the macro next week. I think the big takeaway is that for now, the bulls came out and made a huge save last week, got the Fed behind us, got most of earnings season behind us, got the big Apple report behind us, which, by the way, Apple's earnings report has no bearing and no impact on the broader market. It's not a read into the consumer. You don't get really much sympathy selling outside of the companies that are literally in Apple's supply chain, right? So are directly impacted. But the market doesn't treat Apple numbers as like a broader read on the consumer or the US economy, as they shouldn't, right? So the only reason Apple's earnings are important is because Apple is the largest or second largest weighting in most of the indexes that we pay attention to and talk about every day. Outside of that, really nothing burger. I think Apple does soon follow Microsoft to new highs. Here is Microsoft, really the leader of leaders in big cap tech, at least among the Magnificent Seven, maybe outside of NVIDIA. Microsoft back at all-time highs. Our level is 350, those highs from late 2021. We're above there. Target is 435, and I think we are already on our way. When you talk about the strongest stocks right now, they're the ones that look like this, the ones that look like Microsoft, right? The strongest stocks are the ones making new highs. Definitely new highs above their summer peak, right? So that would be something like Uber or DraftKings, right? Taking out those summer highs. But from a more structural standpoint, right, the longer term leaders are also back above their prior cycle highs, right? For Microsoft, that would be where the first red arrow is drawn. We like this one long. Adobe, same thing. Against that 62%, I think you could really use the pivot highs here. So let's check where those pivot highs are in Adobe. But this one, as strong as anything these days, and I just love all their products. We are all big Adobe users at All Star Charts and Stock Market Media, whether it's the creative team using Photoshop, right, and the Adobe, creative and editing tools, or if it's the analyst team using PDF Writer for various reports. We're all big users. And guess what? Most companies are. Adobe is really the standard, not just for PDFs, but now also for photo and video editing. So quite the moat for Adobe. I would say pivot highs, 570, trading at about 584 today. 570 is really that level. If you want to let it breathe a little bit, you could use the fib retracement here, 538. Point is, the reversal's in, and it's been in since we took out this 38%, gapped right through it, took out those August highs. Love those August highs from last year. We're just working up the right-hand side of this base now. Next stop is 700. This has got to be... I don't like to pick favorites. I really don't. You know, my grandmother picks favorites. I'm her favorite. The other grandchildren, their feelings are always hurt by it. So I don't like to pick favorites, you know. But if I had to, it's Uber all day. Uber, DraftKings probably a close second. These stocks are so exciting from a fundamental perspective, from a growth story, right? Future growth perspective. They're both dominating their space. Both of these companies literally created the market that they now dominate. Right? So they're both in just great positions, long-term, printing money, even DraftKings. Think about the nature of DraftKings business. They're just collecting money left and right. That VIG is so good, right? Uber, same way, 47.17. Just like we're talking about, strongest stocks are making new highs. Uber put in a monster engulfing candle following its earnings release, which was very bullish. Monster beat. If you looked at the headline numbers and thought that they didn't beat, it was due to accounting policy changes, right? So if you adjusted for consistent accounting period over period, they actually beat on top, they beat on bottom. They also had a large equity investment write-off. They have a lot of equity investments in other ride-hailing companies, particularly in Asia, but other areas overseas and in the US. The big investor in that Lime company, which that was probably where the write-off was. You've seen all the scooter graveyard pictures from California. That's that company. But listen, you're not going to win them all. All that is that strategy of investing in other ride-hailing companies. That's what all these big cap tech companies do. Right? It's how they protect themselves. So love to see it. We were talking today about does Uber buy Lyft one day? Maybe. We'll see. I don't know if they would want it, right? But they easily could. Lyft is a $4 billion company now. Uber's 100. So really interesting contrast there between two companies that at their core do the same thing. One was run well and is killing it now. And the other one was run poorly and looking more and more like a zero every day. So bottom line is Uber, you could either use the 62% here, or you can use the pivot highs from late July, which are about 49.50. Let it breathe a little bit though. Let it breathe. I like 47. Most of you are probably already invested in this one. We've been talking about it so much for so long. So if you are, I think crazy to sell before we're at least back and testing those old highs around 64. I think we at least get there. But over longer time frames, I'm expecting a lot more. Blackstone Minerals, BSM. This is a buy on strength only. The dividend is massive. It was pointed out to me by actually one of our customers that this is a royalty company. Down big here today, though, down about 4 or 5%. This one's just not ready, but I do want us to keep it on our radar, because if and when this breakout does materialize, long above 1950 all day. Love that dividend. Vertiv Holdings, VRT. This is a Mary favorite. She's got a good eye. You know, she goes in there and picks some of our best longs. So I'm always paying attention to that. 41.57, first target hit. Been consolidating since the summer, digesting those gains from a monster run up all year and off of last year's lows. This one, what, 8 to 40? 4 or 5x. So that's Vertiv. If we're above 41.50, let's buy that breakout with a target of 62.50. And we're right there. I mean, this one is so tight. I think you could, 41.50. I think you get confirmation at the pivot highs here, which are, I don't know, 42, 43. Looks really good. Form 4 buyer this time last year. ESAB. ESAB. This is a metal fabrication company. Looks a lot better than most companies that are involved in the metals and mining space. $4.5 billion market cap, pressing on new all-time highs. Listen, it's a young company. Just came public early 2022, so it hasn't even been around for 2 years yet. But you see the nice base. you see that consolidation at the upper bounds of the base, the leg up, and then another long consolidation at our first price target. We're taking this out right now. So I'll call it 74. The fib lines up almost perfectly with the pivot highs. If we're above 74, really 73 and a quarter, got to be long. Next target is the $100 roll, $100 holla. Next, Roper Technologies, ROP. What a beautiful base. I was laughing today. We call this a megaphone, right? If I were to draw it out, Fonz, you got to give me the megaphone. They excite me. 4-4 filer, Richard Wallman, $500,000. Not nothing. Love to see the digestion in the coil, right? The short-term continuation pattern take place right at the upper bounds. We could buy this breakout all day. What's Roper doing today? 509.87. This one's breaking out. Like this is a breakout. Looks really good here in a tough tape today, right? In a tape where most stocks are actually lower here today. Roper definitely stands out, making new all-time highs, testing that 510 level. Long against 500, target 589. Idea Biosciences, IDYA. Not easy to find a good-looking biotech these days. This is a tough group to get involved in right now. Most biotechs really struggling, but it's a massive industry group. We were talking about that this morning also. There's just so many biotech stocks. So, of course, you are going to find some charts that look good. Adage Capital Partners, passive stake, a little over 5%. If we're above 27, 28, I think we could have passive stake too with a target of 40. CECO, Environmental Corp. Sounds very ESG. Pollution treatment controls. Listen, it's a monster base. You got a 10-year base here. All right, this goes all the way back to 2007. Ran back up in 2013. Tested those pre-financial crisis highs. Got rejected. Built out a massive base. And now we look like we're ready to go. So I think you want to buy it on strength. It's having a great week so far. Yesterday must have been earnings up 11%. Given back some today. Ran up and tested the intraday highs from yesterday and been fading since. I think we buy on strength and those intra-week, intraday highs from both today and yesterday come right in around 19. I think you're going to get confirmation above 19, but you could probably start dipping your toes in if you're somebody who likes to scale in. There's nothing wrong with getting some action right here, but I do think you want that confirmation above 19. That's when this thing will be ready to leg higher to that first Fibonacci extension, which comes in around 28.50. That's all we got today, guys. I got to get back to troubleshooting my Coinbase account and making sure that all my crypto doesn't get stolen. I do want to check out the chat quick before we go here. As always, reach out, say hi, questions, comments, concerns, info@allstarcharts.com. Just checking the chat. One whole thanks, man. Reading all this. Curtis, hi. Pins does look good, Frank. We'll bring that one along next week. But if you want some levels on pins, I'll give them to you right now. Because Pinterest building a nice base, great earnings report, high and tight here since last week, since the monster reaction on earnings. I think 30 is really that level. 30, those highs from July. We're above there. This base is complete. And Pinterest is ready to rock, start climbing up the right-hand side of this reversal pattern. So that's all we got for today. Thank you guys, as always, for joining. We'll be back here, same time, same place next week. And right here on Stock Market TV every morning from 8:30 to 10 for the morning show. Catch you guys later.